Hey there crafters, it's Gina from Gina C Creates, and today we're going to get into some laser crafting. This is the Pixi by AlgoLasers, and it is the smallest compact laser that I have seen. I have used my fair share of laser machines, and this one is by far the easiest one to use. It's ready to go right outside of the box. So let me show you what's inside. You will get a manual that has full detailed pictures and steps on how to hook up your machine. You will get a stylus you can use on their digital smart screen. And I also thought this laser machine was going to be heavy to pick out of the box, but it is super lightweight and it's easy to lug around. So inside the laser on the top, you will get a bag of supplies, and I will go through those later. And then you also get some sample materials to use so you can see how this thing is going to work right away. Inside the laser, you will get a smoke pipe along with some C-type cables so you can connect to a PC. And you just got to be careful pulling out some of the foam because this is really nicely packed so nothing gets damaged during shipping. And you have a flange interference for your smoke pipe that you're going to hook onto the back. And then I am going to show you how easy this is to set up. So I'm going to show you some features that are on the back of the laser machine. We are going to connect the flange to the smoke pipe, and it extends pretty long. First, I was a little bit worried that the smoke pipe was a little bit too small, but it's long enough so you can put it out to a window, or you can hook it up to a air purifier. And then next, you will connect it to the back, and it's easy just to wind it on to the flange instead of popping it in. You just got to turn it. And then we have the Type-C cable, and this is used to hook up to a PC using the USB port. And then it also comes with an adapter. This one is the power adapter, and you just hook that into the back and you plug it into an outlet. And that's pretty much for setting it up. And here are some supplies. You got some extra zip ties, and we have an Allen wrench that we will use for the screws. And then you just have a brush for cleaning. And then we have this cute little focal gouge that we can hang on the back for safekeeping. And then you have a adapter for your C-type to turn into an A-type. And then we have some blank materials that we're going to use. So to finish setting up, you're going to want to make sure you remove all the foam from inside the laser. And then I'm just going to unplug this stuff for a second so I can show you that the laser module can actually be raised for different types of materials that you're going to engrave on. So you have these 4 screws in the back, and you just unscrew all of them, take them out. And then you have to find a place to grip. It's easier to start at the bottom with the metal plate and use 2 hands to push it up and hold onto the base of the laser. And then you can slide it up and you'll hear a click. And then when that line is to the 25 milliliter, that's how high it's raised. And so it goes all the way to 100 milliliters that you can raise it to. So you just want to be careful not to smash your fingers and hold it upright so you can put your screws in. So I'm just going to pop these screws in for a second to hold it up, and I'm going to bring it back to the front of the laser and show you the base. So for engraving, you have this nice little grid that you can lay your blanks on and engrave that way. But for cutting, this base is actually double-sided. So you'll take the Allen wrench, and there's 4 screws on the plate, and you will just take those out and make sure you put them in a safe location so you don't lose them. And once they're all out, you can flip it over, and it has a raised grid so you can cut stuff as well. And I'll show you how to do that later on in this video. I just first wanted to show you all the features that this compact laser engraver has. So now I'm going to put it back to the base height, and then I'm going to put my screws in so it's nice and secure, so when the laser module is moving, we don't have any wobbling. So there's a switch on the back that you turn on your machine, and then you take off the plastic from the digital screen, and then you have a scoring stylus, and the other side has a pen so you can get more precision drawing. So first you're going to do is hook it up to your Wi-Fi. So select your Wi-Fi, enter the password, and then once it completes, it'll ask if you want to set up a password, which is really cool. So if anyone wants to use your machine, they must have the 4-digit passcode. And I really love that feature because I have a lot of little ones running around the house. So if I accidentally leave this machine plugged in, they're going to have to know the passcode if they want to mess with this machine. So once we get to the main screen, it'll let you know to update your firmware. So you will do that and let it run. It'll just take a couple of minutes. And once it's ready, we can go to the main screen and hit projects and go to examples. And this already has a tons of preset cut projects that you can get started with right away. And if you go back, there is a SD card, which is kind of like the memory for the laser engraver machine, and it already has a few engraving images on the file. And I noticed it's also a place where if you did a project, it saves to the SD card. And then you also have an option for plugging in a USB drive. And then you have an option to change the laser engraving up to 10 watts. So I'm going to leave it at 10 watts, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to explore my controls. And I see all these different numbers. I'm not quite sure what they mean yet, so I'm not going to mess with the settings because I'm hoping it's ready to go. So next, I'm going to go onto the text app, and then it has 4 different fonts you can choose from, and you can choose the size font. And then you just double tap in the empty space and it'll give you a keyboard so you can type out anything you want to engrave. And then next we have a drawing pad. So we're going to get started with the drawing pad first. You can change the size of your different pen strokes, and then you can start drawing directly onto the screen, which is really cool. And it's great for signatures or children's drawings where you want to get something extra personalized. So I'm just going to write out my name for a business card, and then I'm just going to do a little doodle, and we're going to see how this engraves onto the acrylic black business card. And then here are the settings. Once we go to the next screen, I am going to select the material, which is the black acrylic. And then you're going to select the settings you want for it. And it gives you examples of how it's going to look. So that's good. You're not just guessing with the numbers. And then next it has an option for a border or not. So this means it's going to cut it out. So you would have to put the thickness of the material. Next, we're going to place our material under the laser head, and then we're going to use our little gouge and make sure that the module is away from the material as needed. And if it's not, you just use the gouge until it rests on top of it, and you're twisting the dial at the top to make it go up and down. And then we just make sure we cover all the protective lids, and then we can go to processing, and it will take you to another screen to choose the sizing and to place it in the area that it needs to go in. And it's called housing, that little dot, and it will trace out where it's going to engrave. So it's kind of a learning curve. When I first did this, I wasn't too sure exactly where it was going to engrave, but I did get it centered pretty accurately without even trying, but it was bigger than my surface area. So I'm going to try again on the back, but this time I am going to use the type tool, and I'm just going to make it like a fun business card, free SVG files at GinaCCreates.com. And I'm going to change the text, and I'm just going to mess with the spacing so I can have it centered. And then I am going to press processing so I can size it onto the acrylic. So once we get to this screen, we are able to position it on the engraving area, or we can even blow it up so it can be bigger or smaller. So I'm just going to find the right space. And then I learned that if you click the dot, it will do the housing and trace where it's actually going to engrave. So it just takes a little practice so you know where it's tracing. So I will show you more detail on the next project. So this one was a little off-centered, and I also had that cut border, so it wanted to cut it out right away, but I stopped it before cutting through all the acrylic, which actually is another nice feature because you can pause during the process and it'll stop right away, or you can hit play and it'll resume. So I was really happy with the detail and the engraving on this material. For the next project, we're going to engrave on my dog tag, and this was just on my dog's collar and it was blank, so I wanted to add her name onto it. So first thing I'm going to do is lay it into the base, use my gouge to measure the module from the material, and then I am going to use the type app and I'm going to type out her name, Daisy. I'm going to set the font size, and then I am going to select the material. So I'm going to go down to page 8, and then I'm going to select stainless steel, and I'm selecting the setting that I want. And then I go to processing, and then it is going to say that it needs to be housed. So I move around the design into the spot, and then I press the housing, and we go back down so I can make sure that it's in the correct spot. So right here is my first time figuring out that it's actually tracing out the area that it's going to engrave. So I can just move my product under it, which is a lot easier than moving the design on the screen, which you can do as well. So I right away pressed start and it started engraving, and it did it under 2 minutes, and this is how it looked. I was still not happy with the placement, so I wanted to give it another try. And this time I was going to use a smaller size font. And then I made sure to take my time on looking on the position, and then I hit start. And this is how I came out. It was nice and centered and perfect in size. So I was really happy with how it came out versus the first time I tried it. So it's going to be a learning curve, but that's with anything that you're trying for the first time. So next I am going to personalize a wedding program that is in the shape of a fan, which is really popular during wedding season. You can make a bunch of these for wedding favors, and just giving it that personalized touch is going to be amazing. So I'm using the type feature again, and I am finding the placement of where I want it to engrave on my popsicle stick. And it's good that it does this while the lid is open because it allows me to see it. And then it requires me to close the lid. And it tells me now that it's not fully shut, so it's not going to engrave. So that's a cool safety feature that I noticed. So I had to raise it up the 25 milliliters and then get it to be the equal distance, and it worked perfectly this way. So now when I went to engrave it again, it did it perfectly. So the came out really nice. There's no burn marks, and it looks professionally done. So with the program, you can create these in Canva, and then you just fold the paper in half, and then you glue it onto your popsicle stick. And that's a really fun wedding favor you can do. So for the next project, I am going to etch on the stainless steel flask, and I'm going to use one of the projects in the projects gallery, and I'm going to go to the engraving folder, and I am going to select this cool looking tiger that I saw. And then it also has an option to invert the color. So it's going to engrave anything that is black. So if you have like a dark material, this is where it can be a good feature. So next you're just going to select the setting and the material you're using, and then you go to processing, and this is where we are going to find the placement, the sizing, and make sure that it is getting traced onto the surface in the correct spot. So now I'm just going to move it over so my tiger could be nice and centered on my flask. And then you make sure that the laser module is far enough from the object before engraving. And then you shut the protective lid and you hit start. And this one engraved for 8 minutes, and look at how amazing that came out. I think it even looks better than the logo design that the company made the flask with. And these really are going to make great gifts during Christmas season. I got this stainless steel flask from Target for only 15 bucks. And so when you personalize it, it just makes your gift giving that extra special. So for the next project, we are going to cut, and I am going to cut on some plywood. So I'm just going to select one of their cute ornaments, and it already has everything preset on the settings. So all I have to do is put it into the base and make sure that my module is not too far and is in the correct position. But for this spacing, I had to lower my machine and then get my gouge and raise it back up so it's the correct position from the material. And then you just find the center and make sure you use your housing, and then you close the protective lid, hit start, and it's going to cut. So this one is where it's cutting is where it does get off more smoke. So you just want to make sure you're in a well ventilated space. This ornament took 8 minutes to cut, and then you just pop it out of the wooden pieces, and then you can get something small and sharp and just pop out the small pieces that are in between the details. And this is how cute it came out using one of their preset designs. So I really can't wait to try out my own SVG files with this laser cutter to see how good it works. But I will have to do that in another video. So for the next project, we are going to engrave on this stainless steel necklace. It's blank, and you can add anything you want to engraving, which is a nice side business you can do with blank jewelry. You can take these to craft fairs and engrave it right in front of them, or you can even allow them to use the touch screen so they can feel like they're a part of the process and they made it themselves. So to engrave on this, I'm just using the type tool, and then I made it very small, and I found the position. So it took me a couple tries since the surface area was so small. I just wanted to make sure it was nice and centered so it wasn't going to mess up my jewelry blank. And once I had it where I felt comfortable, I pressed start and it started engraving. And this is how adorable it came out. I may, next time I do it, try 2 or 3 different passes so it can get a deeper engrave. But this is just one pass, and look at how great it came out. There's so many different possibilities we can do with that. So next I want to engrave a full-size image. So I put in a ceramic coaster, and it didn't have an option to engrave on ceramic. So I just chose the plywood option, and then I engraved on the strongest setting. And this one also took a little over 8 minutes. And once it's done, here is how it came out. These look so cool. You can make like a whole set using different birds and give them away as Christmas gifts as well. So if you're interested in getting a laser engraver, I definitely recommend this Pixi by AlgoLasers. It's so beginner friendly and great for all ages. And it's the most affordable on the market right now, and they're having their Black Friday sales. So check out my links below so you can get the best possible deal, and you can start your creative side hustle or just be crafting, making personalized gifts all year long. So check out the amazing price right now and use the links in the video description.